¿Dónde me encuentro hoy? Hola y te doy la bienvenida a un nuevo episodio de ¿Dónde me encuentro hoy? Me llamo Anabel y hoy he recibido una postal de Marina, así que vamos a leer la postal juntos y a intentar descubrir desde dónde nos escribe. ¡Vamos!
Hola, Anabel. Esta mañana he estado en la Catedral de Santa María. También he pasado por el Palacio de la Almudaina, que era la residencia de verano de la familia real española. Después he ido a Sort del Rey, los jardines que hay al lado. He querido pasar por el Parc de la Mar para ver también las vistas del mar desde la isla. Después, esta tarde he ido a Sa Loggia y la plaza Sadrasana. ¿Sabes dónde me encuentro ya? Un saludo, Marina.
Pues este es el texto. And now I'm going to use English to help you work out what these clues mean. Let's start for the first sentence. Esta mañana he estado en la Catedral de Santa María. So here we start with esta mañana, which is this morning. And this morning triggers the perfect tense. And that's what we have here. He estado, the perfect tense. That is the combination of the verb haber, and then the past participle. In this case is estado. The past participle is formed by taking away the endings from the indicative, so the AR, ER, and IR, and then adding ado, ido. So ado for AR verbs and ido for ER and IR verbs. So this is the verb estar, so that's why we have estado. He estado, I have been, or I have visited. And it says, en la Catedral de Santa María. So I have been in, or here in English we use to. La Catedral is the cathedral, and then Santa María, Saint Mary, the Saint Mary Cathedral. So this morning I have been to the Santa María or Saint Mary Cathedral. And again, we are using the perfect tense because of esta mañana. And that is what kind of is going to trigger the rest of the tenses in this text. Let's continue. También he pasado por el Palacio de la Almudaina, que era la residencia de verano de la familia real española. También is also, and here he pasado, another perfect tense. He pasado, I have spent, or in this case, I have passed by. He pasado por, I have passed by. El Palacio de la Almudaina, the Almudaina Palace. Maybe you don't know what it is, but here we have the explanation, que era la residencia de verano de la familia real española. Que era, which was, and this is a description of what it used to be or how it used to be used in the past. So that's why we are using the imperfect tense, que era. And now, la residencia de verano, which is the summer residence, the summer house, or the house that they used to go in summer. But who? La familia real española, the Spanish royal family. So that palace used to be the place where the Spanish royal family used to go in summer. La residencia de verano de la familia real española. This is a nice clue because here we have El Palacio de la Almudaina. Do you know what it is? If not, we have some other clues. Vamos. Después he ido a Sort del Rey, los jardines que hay al lado. Después, so later or afterwards, he ido. Here is the verb ir, also in the perfect tense. And we are still using the perfect tense because of that esta mañana at the beginning of the text, but also because it's a recent past. It just like happened this morning. So that's why we are using it. However, in English, it's more like natural that we say later I went. But in Spanish, it's he ido. Okay, like I have gone, but I went. He ido. Again, we are using the past participle, and this is the verb ir. it might look like an irregular verb, but it follows the rule. We take away the ending, the verb ir, then the ending is ir, so we have nothing. And then we add the ending of the past participle, which is ido for the IR verbs. So that's why it's he ido. It might be considered irregular because of the way that we form it, but as I said, it follows the rule. So later I went, después he ido, a Sort del Rey. So later I went to Sort del Rey, which is los jardines que hay al lado, the gardens that are nearby. Here in English we will say they are, that they are nearby or next to that palace. But in Spanish, we are talking about existence, so that's why we are here saying hay, que hay al lado. So next to it, there are some gardens. That would be kind of like the closer translation to that. And here we have another good clue, Sort del Rey. I'm still not quite sure what it is, but maybe you know. Let's continue and find out. He querido pasar por el Parque de la Mar para ver también las vistas del mar desde la isla. So, he querido, I wanted. Here again, we are using the perfect tense, so I have wanted. But in English, we will use just the preterite tense. But it's a recent past, so here we are using that. He querido. And what did I want to do? Pasar por, here again, passed by, el Parque de la Mar, which is the name of this park. So Parque de la Mar could be the sea park. Para ver también, to see also las vistas, the views del mar. So from of the sea, desde la isla, from the island. So I also wanted to pass by or to visit it, or I wanted to visit the Park of the Sea to also see the views of the sea from the island. So this is a very key clue. Let's finish the text and find out where we are. Después, esta tarde he ido a Salotja y la plaza Sadrasana. Después, later, esta tarde, this evening or this afternoon, he ido, I went, but I have gone. In Spanish, because we are saying esta tarde, and with esta mañana, esta tarde, esta semana, este año, it always goes to trigger the perfect tense. So esta tarde he ido, this evening or afternoon, I went to Salotja y la plaza and the square Sadrasana, the Sadrasana Square. So do you know where Marina is? ¿Sabes desde dónde nos escribe Marina? Eso es. Marina nos escribe desde Palma de Mallorca, en España. Soy Anabel y muchas gracias por participar en este juego conmigo. Maybe we receive another postcard like this one soon. Pero hasta entonces, muchísimas gracias y hasta pronto. Happy coffee breaking.
Dove mi trovo oggi? Ciao and welcome to another episode of Dove mi trovo oggi. Io sono Francesca e ho appena ricevuto una cartolina da Maurizio. Leggiamo insieme questa cartolina e cerchiamo di capire dove si trova Maurizio. So let's read the postcard together and let's also try and understand where Maurizio is. Maurizio has left quite a few clues and I will help you understand which ones they are. Ok, allora, io sono pronta, quindi sì, dai, cominciamo.
Ciao Francesca! In questi giorni sto mangiando benissimo. Couscous di verdure, tagine con albicocche e carne. Ho provato anche la pastilla, uno sformato di carne di piccione con spezie, mandorle, cannella e zucchero. Mi è capitato di perdermi spesso per i souk, i labirintici mercati del centro. Devo sempre chiedere indicazioni alla signora della Riyadh in cui sto soggiornando. Oggi penso di visitare i giardini Majorelle e la madrasa Ben Youssef. Hai capito dove mi trovo oggi? Un abbraccio, Maurizio.
Che bella cartolina! Grazie mille, Maurizio, che gentile. Okay, I will speak in English from now on because I want to read this postcard again with you and help you understand all of its content. Don't forget to look out for those clues that Maurizio has left. Allora, ciao Francesca! In questi giorni sto mangiando benissimo. Hi Francesca, these days I'm eating very well. So, ciao Francesca, hi Francesca, in questi giorni, these days, or during these days, sto mangiando. This is a progressive structure to describe an action in process, and in Italian you have to use the verb stare with the gerund, mangiando in this case. Remember that in English you would use the verb to be instead. I am eating, but in Italian the verb to be is replaced by the verb stare. Benissimo, very well, really well. Let's see what lucky Maurizio is eating. Couscous di verdure, tagine con albicocche e carne. Vegetable couscous, tagine with apricots and meat. Ho provato anche la pastiglia, uno sformato di carne di piccione con spezie, mandorle, cannella e zucchero. I even tried pastiglia, a pigeon meat pie with spices, almonds, cinnamon and sugar. Delizioso. Ok, ho provato, I tried, from the verb provare in the passato prossimo, anche, also, or we could also say I even tried. Uno sformato. Sformato is a pie or a bake. Notice the article uno because sformato is a masculine singular noun beginning with S and a consonant. So uno sformato di carne, of meat. What type of meat? Pigeon meat. Carne di piccione. Con spezie, with spices, mandorle, almonds, cannella, a lovely word, cinnamon, e zucchero, and sugar. Mi è capitato di perdermi spesso per i souk, i labirintici mercati del centro. It happened to get lost often around the souk, the intricate markets of the center. This should really make you think about where Maurizio could be. So, mi è capitato, from the verb capitare, to happen. So, it happened, è capitato, to whom? To me. So, mi è capitato. Notice that the past tense of capitare is conjugated with the verb to be. So, è capitato. What happened to Maurizio? Di perdermi. So, to get lost, literally to get myself lost. So, that's why we have the infinitive, perdere, and the pronoun me. So, we could also read this as of losing myself in a way, so of getting myself lost. Although in English you would just say of getting lost, often, spesso, per i souk, around the souk, and then it comes the explanation. I labirintici mercati del centro. Labirintici could be the intricate, the maze-like, really complex markets of the center. Devo sempre chiedere indicazioni alla signora della Riyadh in cui sto soggiornando. I always have to ask for directions to the lady of the Riyadh in which I am staying. So, devo chiedere, I have to ask. When, always. And in English, you would ask for something. In Italian, you would just ask something. In this case, directions, indicazioni. And then to whom? Again, in English, you could ask someone, but in Italian, you always ask to someone. That's why we have the preposition alla. I have to ask to the lady, alla signora. Which type of signora? La signora della Riad, so the lady of the Riad in cui sto soggiornando, in which I am staying. And the verb soggiornare means to stay, often referred to accommodation, to the accommodation where you're staying, especially during holidays. So the lady of the Riad in which I'm staying, in which I'm accommodated in a way. Okay, and I think we are quite close with this clue to understanding where Maurizio is. But let's see the final sentence. Oggi penso di visitare i giardini Majorelle e la madrassa Ben Youssef. Today, I think I'll visit the Majorelle Gardens and the Ben Youssef Madrasa. So, oggi, today, penso, I think. In Italian, we often use the structure penso di plus the infinitive, penso di visitare, I think to visit, but probably in English you would say, I think I'll visit. And what? I giardini, the gardens, Majorelle is just the name of the gardens, and la madrasa Ben Youssef, the Ben Youssef madrasa. Hai capito dove mi trovo oggi? Un abbraccio, Maurizio. Have you understood where I am today? Hugs, Maurizio. Ok, allora, dove si trova Maurizio? Vediamo un po'. Ma sì, Maurizio si trova a Marrakesh. Che meraviglia! I love Marrakesh. I went there a few years ago and it's absolutely beautiful. So, have you ever visited Marrakesh? Or are you planning maybe a visit in the near future? Well, let me know in the comments here below, and also let me know if you have enjoyed reading this postcard with me. Okay, I think this is it for this postcard, but I'm sure I'll receive another one very soon. So perhaps you will want to join me again for another cartolina. Ma per il momento, grazie mille, a presto e ciao ciao!
Wo bin ich heute? Ganz herzlich willkommen zu unserer Reise-Quiz-Show. Mein Name ist Thomas und in diesem Video schauen wir uns eine Postkarte an und versuchen herauszufinden, woher sie kommt. Heute haben wir eine Postkarte von Olivera. Also Olivera, erzähl uns, wo bist du gerade?
Hi Thomas. Oh Mann, ich glaube, ich habe echt mein Lieblingsland gefunden. Hier kann man schöne Strände, schneebedeckte Berge, Vulkane und sogar Regenwald finden. Außerdem sind die Geschichte und die Kultur dieses Inselstaates super interessant und viele Tiere gibt es nur hier zu sehen. Gestern sind wir mit der Fähre von der Südinsel in die Hauptstadt auf der Nordinsel gefahren. Der Name der Stadt kommt übrigens von dem gleichen Briten, der Gummistiefel berühmt machte. Also, weißt du, wo ich heute bin? Bis bald, Olivera.
Oh, I'm very curious now if Olivera says she has found her favorite country. Let's have a more detailed look at the postcard. translate it sentence by sentence and also pick out any interesting German constructions or any new vocabulary. Oh Mann, ich glaube, ich habe echt mein Lieblingsland gefunden. The expression right at the start, oh Mann, oh man, can be used in a positive way like, oh Mann, das ist super. Oh wow, this is great. But can also be used in a more negative way when he's like, oh Mann, es regnet schon wieder. Oh dear, it's raining again. In this sentence, it's definitely positive because Olivera then says, I believe I truly, echt, have found my favorite country. So she's using the perfect tense, habe gefunden, and she also uses the word echt, which we just heard translated as truly or really, just to emphasize her statement. The last bit I want to point out is Lieblingsland, and I am sure you have come across the construction Liebling with something like Lieblingsmusik, Lieblingshobby, Lieblingsessen. This time it's just used with country, so the favorite country, Lieblingsland. And worth remembering that it's one word in German. Okay, let's have a look at the second sentence. Hier kann man schöne Strände, schneebedeckte Berge, Vulkane und sogar Regenwald finden. The subject in the sentence man, which you have probably come across before as well, can be translated with one or you. So here one can, and if we look at the end of the sentence, we have finden, our second verb that goes with the modal verb, you can. Here one can find schöne Strände, beautiful beaches, schneebedeckte Berge, snow-covered mountains, Vulkane, volcanoes und sogar and even Regenwald, rainforest. So that's definitely quite a variety of landscapes to find in one country, and it probably rules out quite a good number of locations within Europe. Olivera then tells us, außerdem sind die Geschichte und die Kultur dieses Inselstaates super interessant und viele Tiere gibt es nur hier zu sehen. Außerdem can be best translated with moreover or furthermore. So furthermore, the history and the culture of this insular state or this island state are super interesting. And a lot of animals can only be seen here. Some again useful information, but let's quickly look at the German. And the first part of the sentence, I think the construction is really straightforward. We have sind super interessant. We are starting with außerdem, so the verb comes next, and then die Geschichte und die Kultur are our subject in the sentence. But then we have dieses Inselstaates. So it's actually a genitive of this. And then you probably noticed that I struggled with a good translation for this. In German, it's a compound noun, so it's Insel and Staat, island and state. So as I translated it before, it's the idea of a state made up of different islands. This construction of like a landscape and the word state can also be used with other landscapes. So quite often you will hear the word Alpenstaat oder Alpenstaaten when you are talking about the Alpine countries, so Switzerland, Italy, France, Austria, or Germany. Quite often it's Alpenstaaten is used as a collective term for all these states, but just like here it can also be used in the singular, for example, der Alpenstaat Österreich. Now in the second part, there's a construction that is not so super common. It appeared, I think, in one or two other videos so far, but in a slightly different way, and that is the combination of gibt es and the infinitive plus zu. If we look at the whole sentence, we had viele Tiere gibt es nur hier zu sehen. It might be easy if we change the order of those words and say, es gibt viele Tiere nur hier zu sehen. Then we have our normal construction with es gibt. There are then a lot of animals in the accusative, only here to be seen. This whole construction could be easily replaced with a modal verb, just like in the sentence before where we had hier kann man finden. You could say, und man kann viele Tiere nur hier sehen. I would say the later is a more common and more often seen construction, but there's definitely a couple of cases where you will come across the es gibt with the infinitive. For example, in the sentence, es gibt hier nichts zu sehen. there is nothing to be seen here, which you might hear by German police, for example, when they're turning people away from a crime scene or an accident. Good. We talked about the language. Let's quickly talk about the information for our secret location. We now know that the country we are currently looking for is made up of more than one island, and that it has some unique wildlife that you will find nowhere else in the world. I think I might have a slight idea, but there's 2 more sentences, so let's get some more information. Gestern sind wir mit der Fähre von der Südinsel in die Hauptstadt auf der Nordinsel gefahren. Gestern, yesterday, and then we have sind, and if we look at the end of the sentence, we see our past participle, gefahren. So yesterday we drove with a ferry from the Südinsel, the South Island, to the capital on the North Island. Yesterday, we took the ferry from the South Island to the capital on the North Island. A very good sentence to quickly look at some cases. So, mit der Fähre, mit always taking the dative, and it's normally die Fähre, therefore changes to der Fähre. Von also always takes the dative, so it's normally die Insel or die Südinsel. So, again, changes from die to der in the dative. And then in die Hauptstadt, this time we are talking about the location. We are not in the capital yet. We are moving towards the capital. So the accusative case is used here. Again, it's a feminine word, die Stadt, but in the accusative, die just stays die. And then our last case, auf der Nordinsel. This time we are talking about a location because we're saying where that capital is located. And therefore, we're using the dative. So similar again, die Nordinsel changes to der Nordinsel. So a very good summary in the sentence of different reasons for different cases. First, we have 2 prepositions that always demand the dative, mit und von. Then we're talking about a location that we're moving towards to, using the accusative, and then about a location where something is already located. It is already there, and we're using the dative. Aha, so I think we're looking for the capital of this Inselstaat, of this state of islands. Our last clue from Olivera is, der Name der Stadt kommt übrigens von dem gleichen Briten, der Gummistiefel berühmt machte. Wow, this is some unexpected and complex information here. So, der Name der Stadt, the name of the city, using the genitive here for die Stadt, changing to der Stadt. And then we have kommen, which normally means to come, but this time it's used with a preposition. So, kommt übrigens, by the way, von. And this can be translated very literal as comes from, but the meaning here is different. It's not from a location, it's more originates from, derives from something. And in our case, it's from the same Brit. So, der Brite is a British person. And then we have some additional information in a relative clause. Der Gummistiefel berühmt machte. Der is referring back to the Brit, the British person. And in English, you would translate it here with who. So, who made Gummistiefel famous? Now, you might have noticed that I didn't translate the word Gummistiefel, and that's because I wanted to give you a couple of extra seconds to figure out what city Olivera is writing to us from today. The translation of Gummistiefel will be provided in a couple of seconds, but let's quickly summarize and have a look at the very last sentence. So far, we know that the country Olivera is in today is made up of islands. We later find out there's something called a South Island and a North Island. We know there's a great variety of landscapes and some unique animal life, and that the final destination we are looking for is the capital of that country. In her very last sentence, Olivera says, also, weißt du, wo ich heute bin? So, do you know where I am today? Also, es ist Zeit für eine Antwort. It's time for an answer. And this time, the answer will not only give us the location of Olivera today, it will also provide us with a translation for the German word Gummistiefel. And that is Wellington. Correct. So Wellington means Gummistiefel in German, but it is also the title of a very famous British general for, if I'm not 100% mistaken, defeated Napoleon and then was named Duke of Wellington. This person also made the Wellington boots very famous, so they are named after him. And apparently, he was also the inspiration for the name of the capital of New Zealand, Wellington, which is located in the very south of the Northern Island and therefore is also the point where you normally take the ferry if you want to go from one island to the other. Okay, good. I think that was probably enough additional information at the end here. Thank you very much, Olivera, for this very, very awesome postcard. I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of really nice and hopefully also new vocabulary in this postcard and some really interesting German sentence constructions. And an absolutely fantastic last clue showing us how things are related and connected to each other in our world. Vielen Dank fürs Zuhören. I really hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Und hoffentlich bis zum nächsten Mal. Mein Name ist Thomas. Tschüss.
As-tu deviné où je suis? Bonjour et bienvenue dans un nouvel épisode de As-tu deviné où je suis? Moi, c'est Max et la carte postale que j'ai reçue aujourd'hui nous vient de Léa. The postcard that I received today comes from Léa. As always, your mission is to figure out from where she sent me this postcard. Pour cela, Léa nous a laissé des indices. Léa left some clues in the text. Nous allons d'abord écouter Léa, puis analyser le texte phrase par phrase. We will first listen to Léa, then analyze each sentence. Si vous êtes prêts, c'est parti. Léa, on t'écoute.
Salut Max! Je suis en Afrique pour mes vacances. Je suis dans l'une des rares villes du continent avec un métro souterrain. J'étais au marché Khan el-Khalili, il y a de tout. Et demain, je vais me rendre dans le quartier historique de la ville. Il y a des centaines de mosquées. Je pense que ça va être époustouflant. Le trafic ici est très dense et chaotique. Difficile de conduire pour moi. Le clou du voyage sera ma visite de la grande pyramide de Gizeh, à seulement 25 km d'ici. À bientôt, Léa.
Merci beaucoup, Léa. Alors, regardons un peu le texte. On commence avec la première phrase. Je suis en Afrique pour mes vacances. Je suis dans l'une des rares villes du continent avec un métro souterrain. Très intéressant. First big clue. Je suis en Afrique. I am in Africa. We use the preposition en before a continent. En Afrique, en Asie, en Europe. Pour mes vacances. Vacances, when it means holiday, is always plural. I'm in Africa for my holiday. I am in one of the very few cities of the continent with an underground. Je suis, I am, dans l'une des rares villes. The L apostrophe before une doesn't have a function, grammatically speaking. It is just to make it sound and look a little bit better, but it would be perfectly correct without it. Je suis dans une des rares villes or dans l'une des rares villes. Une des, one of the rare cities. Du continent, of the continent, avec un métro souterrain, with an underground. Métro, in French language, is mostly underground, but can also be over the ground. This is why we have the extra adjective to qualify it, souterrain, which literally means underground, souterrain. Excellent, that's already a big clue. We already have the continent, Africa. Super, on continue. J'étais au marché Khan el-Khalili, il y a de tout. Very interesting sentence. J'étais au marché. I was at the market called Khan el-Khalili, and there is everything. So, marché is a masculine word, so we have au, a and le. J'étais au marché. Il y a, there is, there are. De tout. So of everything, quite literally. So you can translate il y a de tout as there is everything, or there is a bit of everything. Whatever you're looking for, you're likely to find it there. Parfait, a famous market. Très bien. On continue. Et demain, je vais me rendre dans le quartier historique de la ville. Il y a des centaines de mosquées. Je pense que ça va être époustouflant. And tomorrow, I'm going to go in the historical district of the city. There are hundreds of mosques. I think it is going to be breathtaking. Et demain, and tomorrow, je vais me rendre. Interesting structure here. We have the near future with aller in the present tense followed by the infinitive. But the order of word is important. Here we have an infinitive from a reflexive verb, se rendre, to go. The me, representing I, the reflexive part, goes between aller and the infinitive. It doesn't go before. Je vais me rendre. Tu vas te rendre. Il va se rendre, etc. Parfait. Dans le quartier historique, the historical district, de la ville, of the city, feminine, il y a des centaines de mosquées. Des centaines is hundreds. Une centaine is about 100. Des centaines can go from 300 to 900, roughly. Hundreds. It's an interesting word to know. The same way we have une dizaine, a dozen, une centaine. It's vague, but slightly accurate at the same time. Je pense que ça va être époustouflant. I think, I believe. Remember to use que after I think. While in English, that could be dropped. I think that it's going to be. I think it's going to be. In French, we need the que. Ça va être époustouflant. It is going to be, once again, the near future. Here we don't have a reflexive verb, so it's a little bit more straightforward. Époustouflant. Lovely adjective. That means breathtaking. Very beautiful. The feminine would be époustouflante, with an extra E. Excellent. Beaucoup de mosquées. Another clue. Let's move on to the next sentence. Le trafic ici est très dense et chaotique. Difficile de conduire pour moi. Traffic here is very dense and chaotic. Difficult for me to drive. Difficult to drive for me. This sentence is fairly straightforward in the sense that a lot of words look like the English. Le trafic, traffic, dense, dense, chaotique, chaotic, difficile, difficult, and conduire is to drive, difficult to drive for me. Just like in English, pour moi could come after difficile. Difficile pour moi de conduire, or difficile de conduire pour moi. Okay, we have one clue left. Have you already guessed where Léa is? As-tu déjà deviné où Léa se trouve? Regardons la dernière phrase. Le clou du voyage sera ma visite de la grande pyramide de Gizeh à seulement 25 km d'ici. The highlight of the trip will be my visit of the Great Pyramid of Giza, only 25 kilometers from here. Le clou. Clou means a nail for DIY, not the nail on the finger. Le clou. But we also use le clou to say the highlight or the climax of a show, for example, or for fireworks. Le clou du voyage means the highlight of the trip. Sera, the future tense, with the irregular stem for être, S-E-R, plus the A ending for he, she, it, sera ma visite de la grande pyramide de Gizeh à seulement 25 km d'ici. So, à is an interesting structure here because it's a bit the other way around compared to the English. À seulement 25 km means 25 kilometers away from here. So the away is translated to à, but it comes before you announce the number. À 25 km, 25 kilometers away. It works for distance, like here. Also for time, à 3 heures de, 3 hours away from. Even for weight, à 2 kilogrammes de, 2 kilograms away from. Parfait. Let's review all the clues we have. Léa is in Africa, en Afrique. Il y a un métro souterrain. There is an underground in this city. Le marché Khan el-Khalili, the market called Khan el-Khalili. Des centaines de mosquées, hundreds of mosques in the historical district. A very dense and chaotic traffic, un trafic dense et chaotique. And a very big clue to finish, la grande pyramide de Gizeh. The Great Pyramid of Giza. Alors, as-tu deviné où Léa se trouve? D'où Léa nous a envoyé sa carte postale? La réponse? Léa se trouve au Caire, le Caire en Égypte. Magnifique pays, magnifique pyramide, bien sûr. Une très grande civilisation, la civilisation égyptienne. Je suis un peu jaloux. Et toi, tu as déjà visité l'Égypte ou le Caire? Sinon, tu aimerais y aller? Have you ever visited Cairo? Would you like to go? Parfait, c'est tout pour cet épisode. On se retrouve très rapidement pour un autre épisode de As-tu deviné où je suis? À bientôt!